Good morning, America. President Trump kicks off a crucial meeting with China's president in Mar-a-Lago as he faces his first major foreign policy crisis, changing his stance on Syria after that deadly chemical attack.
That crosses many, many lines beyond the red line.
The White House says all options on the table, prepared to go it alone in both Syria and North Korea. And what's behind the new shakeup on Trump's national security team?
Tornado terror. At least 9 reported twisters tearing across 3 states, destroying homes. The storm's creating a travel nightmare. Hundreds of flights already canceled in Atlanta. Now that severe weather moving east, 50 million Americans bracing for flooding, tornadoes, and even half a foot of snow.
A 20-year-old college student disappears, last seen driving away a week ago. Her truck gets stuck, just a single pair of footprints and a cell phone left behind. Now reports her mother is receiving ransom texts. The FBI on the case this morning.
And the incredible rescue. A hiker fighting for her life, trapped by a 1,500-pound boulder, firefighters on the scene.
You guys ready? Okay, all units ready for lift.
Their 2-hour operation in the snow and ice, flying her to safety.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
Good morning, America. We hope you are well this morning. A lot of people bracing for some pretty wicked weather.
Yeah, a lot of people out there, and hundreds of flights have already been canceled across the country. But take a look at how Delta is making it a little easier on their passengers. Imagine looking out of your window and you see they're unloading pizzas, 700 pizzas they ordered. Keep their passengers at least full if they want.
Pizza makes everything better.
I guess it means you're in for a long wait, though.
All right, we have a lot to get to, and we are covering a number of big stories coming out of Washington this morning. President Trump hosting his first meeting with China's president at Mar-a-Lago. North Korea and trade both on the agenda. And the White House is talking tough on Syria in the wake of that horrifying chemical attack. The vice president says all options are on the table. We will look at what those are in just a moment. And the battle is on right now over Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. Democrats going all out to keep him from being confirmed. A vote is expected today.
Yeah, expected right around midday. We're going to begin with President Trump's summit with China's president at Mar-a-Lago. Kicks off later today as well. Our chief White House correspondent Jonathan Carlo is going to be there. And John, the North Korean nuclear threat front and center. And President Trump has called out the Chinese for not doing enough on that front.
Well, North Korea was clearly sending a message when they conducted that missile test this week, and that message was heard loud and clear. The North Korea threat is now at the top of the agenda for this meeting with China's president. President Trump has not only called out the Chinese for not doing enough to contain North Korea, he has said that the United States is prepared to act alone if China doesn't deal with the threat, and that all options are on the table. Now, George, trade, of course, is also front and center at this meeting. As you well remember, as a candidate, Donald Trump talked endlessly about the Chinese, about their unfair trade practices. Since becoming president, though, he hasn't really done anything about it. So this is a big test. Can he come away from this meeting with the Chinese with anything tangible, any firm commitments on either trade or on North Korea?
Yeah, in his first phone call with the Chinese president, he actually had to back down from some previous statements he had made about Taiwan.
Absolutely, and also the big thing he promised, he was going to declare China a currency manipulator, a move that would have serious repercussions. That has not happened either.
Meantime, this is coming after something of a shakeup on the president's national security team. Steve Bannon, his political advisor, now off the National Security Council.
This is a big one, George. Bannon's role in the National Security Council, the so-called Principals Committee, was highly controversial. He was abruptly removed from that. I am told that the new National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, had made this a condition of coming in and taking that job. But there were also clearly tensions between Bannon and Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, who's taken a much bigger role on national security. A clear demotion, even as at the White House, they're trying to minimize the implications.
Yeah, Jared Kushner's portfolio growing every single day. John Carl, thanks very much.
All right, and President Trump also taking on the crisis in Syria, saying the chemical attack crossed many lines. Here is what we know this morning. Reports say at least 80 people were killed, making this the deadliest chemical attack there since 2013. The Syrian civil war is now in its 7th year. Russia has an estimated 4,000 troops in Syria. America has about 900 troops training and assisting rebel forces to fight ISIS. Let's go straight now to our chief foreign correspondent, Terry Moran, in London with more on this. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Amy. Well, this morning there's mounting evidence and strong denials about who committed this atrocity. The Syrian foreign minister in Damascus just this morning issuing a total denial that the Syrian government perpetrated the chemical attack. Instead, he's blamed rebels for stockpiling chemical weapons that he claims were released by a government airstrike. But experts and doctors treating the victims say that's just not possible.
President Trump says Tuesday's deadly chemical attack in Syria has gone too far.
That crosses many, many lines beyond the red line.
Standing alongside a key U.S. ally in the Middle East, King Abdullah of Jordan, the president declared he's got a new stance on the Syrian civil war.
It's already happened that my attitude toward Syria and Assad has changed very much.
And he's still placing the blame squarely on the Obama administration.
The Obama administration had a great opportunity to solve this crisis a long time ago when he said the red line in the sand. It is now my responsibility.
The rocket explosions are now believed to have exposed hundreds of Syrian civilians to a combination of chlorine gas and sarin. How the U.S. responds now is a critical test of the White House's relations with Russia, Syria's key backer.
We cannot close our eyes to those pictures. We cannot close our minds of the responsibility to act.
And high drama at the UN Security Council, where U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley leveled harsh charges right at Russia.
Russia cannot escape responsibility for this.
But when he was asked whether he planned to take military action, draw his own red line, the president declined to say.
Terrible affront to humanity, I can tell you. Terrible. You'll see.
Well, the real problem for President Trump, as it was for President Obama, is what can be done? Punitive airstrikes are one option, but even limited steps like that can have unexpected consequences, including potential Russian casualties, given how many Russian boots are on the ground throughout Syria right now. It's a real problem. Jordan?
Okay, Terry, thanks. We're going to dig into that now with our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz, right here in New York. So dramatic escalation in the rhetoric from both the president and his UN ambassador in just the last 24 hours. But as Terry pointed out, the options are difficult to work through.
They're very difficult, George. I mean, first of all, you have to decide what the goal is here. Is it to punish Assad? Is it to prevent him from any more attacks? Or is it to get rid of Assad altogether? There are several options, and they're known by the acronym DIME. First of all, diplomatic. Try to pressure Russia to pressure Syria, deliver a message to Russia that things will start blowing up in Syria unless you make some movement. That is a high-risk move. That is the downside. Next, intelligence. Try to bring down Assad by sending in special operations troops, CIA missions, secret missions there. Again, very high risk of casualties for Americans and others. M, that's the military option with the big M. That means send in cruise missiles, try to hit command and control centers, anything you can do. But that could widen the conflict. You could really have a new enemy. And lastly, economic. Shut off banking for Assad. Shut off anything you can economically for Assad, but that could have backlash too. He could really feel pressure.
And I guess the big question right now is actually how prepared President Trump really is to take any of these escalating actions. For the last year, we've heard so often from the president how determined he is to stay out of this fight.
Exactly, and his language is often so imprecise. Yesterday when he said, you know, many lines have been crossed, I'm sure a lot of staff is thinking, okay, what are we going to do next? There are always plans, as you know, contingency plans, but they would really have to update the intelligence. But I expect some sort of action after what President Trump said yesterday.
Okay, Martha Raddatz, thanks very much.
All right, and now to the Supreme Court showdown. Democrats taking to the Senate floor overnight, trying to filibuster Judge Neil Gorsuch's confirmation. The vote is set for this morning. If he does not get enough, Republicans may use the so-called nuclear option to confirm him. Our congressional correspondent Mary Bruce is on Capitol Hill with the latest on that. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning. Well, Neil Gorsuch is headed for confirmation, but it's likely to come at a steep political price. Senate Republicans this morning are expected to go nuclear. In order to get over that Democratic opposition, they're going to use what's known as the nuclear option, changing the Senate rules to confirm Gorsuch by a simple majority vote. Now, Amy, this goes beyond the usual partisan politics up here. This shows that the two parties simply cannot work together and will ultimately fundamentally change the way Congress does business. Even reluctant Republicans up here are warning of the fallout. Senator John McCain saying that anyone who thinks that this will ultimately be a good move for the Senate is, and I quote, an idiot, a stupid idiot.
He does not mince his words at all. And there's another ongoing battle on Capitol Hill, that push to revive health care reform. Initially, we heard that the White House was hoping to take action this week, but now doesn't look so likely.
Yet don't hold your breath for any imminent vote before Congress leaves town for the next 2 weeks. Right now, the fight over Healthcare 2.0 is looking a lot like Healthcare 1.0. The White House is eager for a win. They've been hoping to resuscitate and trying to resuscitate these talks. But now the president is saying this is all part of continuing negotiations. Now, those talks did continue last night. House Speaker Paul Ryan up at the White House talking with the president and the vice president about their next steps. But even the speaker says this is going to likely take a few months at least. Amy.
All right, Mary, thank you.
Long time coming on that. We're going to move on now to that new evidence-free allegation from President Trump. He told the New York Times that he thinks President Obama's National Security Advisor Susan Rice committed a crime with her handling of intelligence, but offered no explanation or information to back up his claim. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega has that story. Good morning, Cecilia.
Hey, George, good morning to you. This isn't the first time President Trump has accused someone in the Obama administration of committing a crime without having any evidence to back it up. First, that wiretapping claim. Now the president is pointing fingers directly at Susan Rice. Just before President Trump stepped onto the world stage, behind the scenes in the Oval Office, he was lobbying bold allegations against the Obama administration. Without offering any evidence, the president accusing former National Security Advisor Susan Rice of committing a crime after her admission that she asked for the identities of Americans picked up by surveillance in a process known as unmasking. In an interview with the New York Times, the president calling it one of the big stories of our time. And when asked if he thought Rice committed a crime, he said, quote, "Do I think? Yes, I think." Vice President Mike Pence saying intelligence committees will get to the bottom of the allegation.
I would say that the American people have a right to know if there was surveillance of any private citizen in this country and the identity of those citizens was revealed. People have a right to know why.
Rice denies she did anything wrong.
I leaked nothing to nobody and never have and never would.
Sources tell ABC News Trump campaign and transition officials were among the unmasked individuals caught up in surveillance during investigations into Russian meddling in the election. A spokeswoman for Rice says, "I'm not going to dignify the president's ludicrous charge with a comment." Rice says she simply needed to know those names in order to understand the significance of the intelligence reports. She says she was just doing her job.
We can't be passive consumers of this information and do our jobs effectively to protect the American people.
So again, unmasking in and of itself is not a crime. Leaking unmasked names is, but you heard Susan Rice there in our story adamantly deny that she leaked any of those names. Also in this New York Times interview, George, the president once again called the Russia story, quote, a total hoax.
Okay, Cecilia, let's dig into this now with our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, our political analyst, Matthew Dowd. And Dan, let's begin with the law here. It almost can't be stressed enough. Unmasking, this term we've all learned in the last few days, is not a crime.
It's not just that it's not a crime, it's actually pretty routine for someone in her position to make that sort of request. I want to be really careful here with the legal analysis, too, because I could start telling you about what the legal standard would be, right? That a federal prosecutor would have to believe that he or she would be able to prove that her intent was political. And that's a tough, tough thing to prove. The problem with even going down that road is that there is no evidence at all to suggest it was that as opposed to the routine. And here's the issue. There are hundreds of requests that are made every day by people with her level of clearance that if done for the wrong reasons, if done for political reasons, if done on behalf of a foreign agent, could be possibly criminal. But let's not start talking about possibly criminal unless there's something to back that up.
It's a really important point. You know, the caution there, Matthew Dowd, is really important from Dan, yet you have the President of the United States making this charge.
Yeah, there's an old expression that talk doesn't cook rice, right? So talk by Donald Trump is not going to put Ambassador Rice into trouble on this in the course of this. I think he's in a difficult situation. He's got all these other controversies. This smells like a diversion. This smells like I'm going to talk about something else. He's done this numerous times throughout the campaign and throughout his presidency. When something else, when a fire is burning in one place, he tries to start a fire in another place.
And you know, you saw Dan Abrams, Susan Rice not even respond to this. And I almost wonder sometimes how we should all deal with it, given the fact that it's the president saying this, yet making the claims without any evidence at all?
Right, well, look, is it possible, right, that something like this could happen? You say, could Susan Rice be political? Of course she could be political. But in order for the president to make that kind of comment, you would hope that there is some evidence to back it up. Not speculation, not maybe, not could be, not possibly, but yes. There is something that I am basing this on, and now I'm going to tell you why, because if he's not going to tell us why, let's not talk about it until there are charges pending, until they're moving forward with a serious investigation, et cetera. It's just reckless.
And he faces a crucial part of his presidency with these meetings with the premier from China. He's got an issue in Russia. He's got an issue in the Middle East with Syria, and he's now got a huge issue that he has to deal with in Russia. I was thinking that today starts the Masters, which I'm sure is going to be on television tomorrow. Mar-a-Lago. He is about to face his own amen corner. 3 big issues, the 11th, 12th, and 13th hole, he's going to face, and he's going to have to deal with all 3 of them.
And in all of them, words and credibility matter. Matt Dowd, Dan Abrams, thanks very much. Michael?
All right, thank you, George. And now we're going to turn to those dangerous storms hitting the south and moving east. Take a look at the damage in Georgia after a reported tornado tore through the state. And ABC's Steve Wilson-Sami is on the scene in Atlanta. And good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you, Michael. It is amazing no one was hurt here by this. When you look at how long and how large this tree is, this is what's left of the root ball. It clearly fell in the right direction. The family who lives here on the other side of this tree has a car that's stuck in the garage that's not leaving until this tree is removed.
15 million Americans will be in the middle of it this morning as this storm continues to move east. Families in parts of Georgia were kept up overnight with heavy rains and strong winds that knocked down trees and blew out the power. It rained so hard, roads quickly turned into rivers. This fire truck turned on its side in the rising water. The flooding didn't want to let up. This was South Carolina. There were water rescues in Atlanta Wednesday. And just north of the city, lightning struck several homes and set them on fire.
I've never seen them hit this close.
On the other side of the state, in small-town Georgia, people saw a tornado on the ground.
Big tornado.
It tore up a farm and tossed a mobile home. Another possible tornado is blamed for damaging dozens of homes in Alabama. And this morning, the cleanup continues in Goodman, Missouri, after an EF2 tornado ripped through the city Tuesday.
On top of all this, there was a small earthquake here last night. Michael?
All right, thank you, Steve. And we're going to turn now to that dramatic rescue in the Colorado Rockies. A hiker visiting from Europe became trapped beneath a 1,500-pound boulder that fell down a hillside, crushing her legs. Rescue teams had to bring in heavy lifting equipment, and it took them 2 hours before they were able to free her. Then they had to carry her up the steep, rocky terrain to a helicopter, and she was airlifted to a hospital. She is in critical condition this morning. And to put into perspective, that boulder fell the equivalent of a three-story building before it landed.
Wow. It's incredible she survived that.
Scary situation.
Well, and thank goodness for all of those rescuers braving that terrain. All right, let's go now to Ginger. You are tracking all that severe weather today.
That same system that did all the damage Steve was just showing you, more than 200 severe reports in the last 24 hours. Well, watch it. You can see that counterclockwise rotating low, that comma cloud, that strong cold front all the way down into Florida. And just moments ago, a tornado watch issued for parts of Virginia and North Carolina. So if you're in Virginia Beach this morning, Raleigh, Winston, North Carolina, or Richmond, you're waking up with the next potential couple of hours tornadic. So just know that going ahead, as this system moves east, we will not only have the severe weather, but a potential for flooding on the northern side of it. Your local weather in 30 seconds. Here, though, the rainy cities, brought to you by Downy Fabric Softener.
I love you so much. That's why I bought 6 of you, for when you stretch out.
I want you to stay this bright blue forever. That's why you'll stay in this drawer, forever.
I can't live without you. And that's why I'll never, ever wash you.
Protect your clothes from stretching, fading, and fuzz with Downy Fabric Conditioner. It smooths and strengthens fibers to protect clothes from the damage of the wash. So your favorite clothes, stay your favorite clothes. Downy Fabric Conditioner.
It's a Storm Watch 7 weather alert day. We are going to start to see the severe thunderstorms probably really ramping up after about 8, 9 o'clock, and that's going to continue through about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So have your Storm Watch 7 weather app with you because it will alert you to any watches or warnings that are issued in your neighborhood. Could still have a few showers, pretty windy around 4, a little bit drier by 7 o'clock this evening. Watch out for damaging winds, hail, even a few isolated tornadoes.